Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Connor over there in the red corner. And we talk about the week's DC shows, that's what we do. Which this week's kind of weird because we had two new shows. We had the returning Legends of Tomorrow, we had a new episode of Black Lightning, but we had no Flash or Arrow. Obviously Supergirl has been replaced with Legends for the next 9 weeks. So, we have a Lois and Clark and a Smallville this week. So we're tagging those back in because things are off, and of course we're still working our way through Young Justice. So you're getting Black Lightning, you're getting Legend Tomorrow, you're getting Smallville, you're getting Lois and Clark, and an episode of Young Justice. Not in that order.
No,
I just said that in a random order, but that's
just the ones that came to mind first.
pretty much. So that's what's happening this week. Very odd week of.
It is.
I've gotten into such a pattern of having those exact same 4 shows, and just when I watch them and how I do it.
You're right, and then even the time when they were off, they were all off, so it was consistent still. It's like, okay, we're just not doing any of them this week.
Yeah. Whereas this was weird. I was like, oh yeah, I've got stuff to watch, and then I ended up watching most of them in the last day, which I don't usually do. Normally I get through the first few at least before then, but
yeah. No, I think it's because there was only the 2 on, so you thought, no rush.
Yeah, but then I'm like, but I still have to watch a Smallville and a Lois and Clark.
Yeah, you kind of forget about them, don't you?
So it's not actually any easier.
It's the exact same amount to watch. It's just that we forget about the 2 that are not new.
But hey, so that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So we'll go in order of airing. Well, for the newest shows, we're not doing Lois and Clark and then Smallville and then the newest shows because that's the order they air.
That'll be weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so we're going to start with Legends of Tomorrow.
There was a small touch of news, although it is to do with Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, go on.
Constantine is returning in episode 15. They put out a big announcement for that earlier today or yesterday.
I did not see that. That is news to me.
Yeah. So, it's cool they're keeping him around. Yeah. Well, maybe you don't think that. We'll find out in a minute.
We're going to have Legends of Tomorrow. We're going to have season 3. What is this? Episode 10. It's been gone for a while. It's called Dahrkest, and it does have the H in the Dahrkest, like Dark's name, for the record. So this was an episode. Obviously, Constantine was teased at the end of the last one, and he's there. And it turns out there's a girl who turns out to be Damien Dark's daughter, young, obviously when she's younger in present day, in Star City in a mental hospital, but she's possessed by what turns out to be Malice, seemingly. Constantine doesn't know that's who that is at first. This is the team that bring that up and say, hey, Malice is the one doing all this.
It's only a case of recognizing the voice that I was like, okay, that's Malice.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's just John Noble, very recognizable voice.
Yep. Daddy Bishop from Fringe, the legend he is. And yeah, so he basically doesn't even want to involve the team. He just wants to kind of know where to go and what to do. And here's a weird thing: the word bloodlust was uttered in this episode.
I know. I was like, okay. I reached for the drink automatically, just on impulse. I was like, no, that's not here. That's not this show.
No.
I mean, even the opening was previously on Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow.
I know. But she said she referenced her bloodlust. Like, I thought it was over this bloodlust.
I know. Oh.
I hope you are. I hope we're not drudging up that past again. I mean, I guess it's cool that they're actually digging back into her past from the other show to.
It makes sense to acknowledge it.
Yeah, to help kind of tie it into what they're doing. If we've got this demon who kind of is connected to that stuff, like is the main villain. It's why Dark's daughter's got these powers and stuff. It's actually because she's just kind of possessed by the demon. Okay, all right, fine, whatever. So Sarah, Snart go with also Amaya and Nate, they go with them as well, but they end up getting separated quite quickly. But they go to deal with the girl and maybe try and do an exorcism. They kind of all realise around this point, like, Zari's on the comms looking up stuff. She's like, hey, by the way, this girl, she happens to be Damien Dark's daughter. The doy. Hello, Megan.
You can tell you've just watched Young Justice.
That was the last time I watched that, I must admit.
Yeah.
So they try and do an exorcism. It doesn't quite work, and the demon sends them back in time to the same hospital, but in 1960 something.
69, I
The
believe.
69, yeah. And so they're trapped in the past. They're trying to figure out how to get forward. Maybe leave a message for the Legends of present day. And then Zari and Ray go and get the girl from the hospital and try and help her that way. And then Mick spending the episode watching the football game.
Yes, yeah, and barking orders occasionally.
And he gets so annoyed that he's been interrupted at one point that he actually, because Sarah's not there, so they're all panicking. What do we do? What do we do? And he just stands up and gives orders to. He splits them into 3 teams and gives them all orders. He's like, right, good, and sits down. Honestly, my favourite laugh of this is at the end when Snart is he's saying goodbye. He's going back to his own Earth, and he's hugging Mick, and he's like, you know what? I've decided I'm going to ask Ray to marry me. And Mick's like, what? He's like, no, not your Ray, my Ray, the Ray. He's like, oh. And then he sits back down. That cracked me up. I don't know.
It was amusing.
I like that they acknowledge that 2 characters have the same name, because I feel like they don't do that often.
No, it's a typical rule of storytelling is you don't.
Yeah.
But obviously this is a weird case where
yeah, they were created far apart. Yeah, away from each other. They just happened to be in the same universe, and they ended up kind of being on the same show. So
exactly, and they couldn't change it. I mean, you definitely can't change the Ray, because that's kind of his whole shtick.
I think it's silly that the Ray's real name is Ray. I've always thought that.
I agree. Yeah.
But who's the Ray? You'll never guess.
It's that dude named Ray.
No, it's not. Shut up. Can't be that.
Do you think it's like a double bluff? It's like, look, come on. If I was a superhero, do you really think I'd go by the Ray when my name's Ray? Come on, give me some credit.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, Amaya gets split up for the team, and then Nate kind of goes with her when Kawasa shows up. Very randomly, might I add. I feel like they're going through the hallway, they're going to the exorcism, and all of a sudden the water just starts coming out of the hallway, and I was like, oh, that's really random. I mean, I know she can do that, but it felt like there was no build up to the appearance. It was just
I agree. It was just like, oh, she's here now.
Yeah, suddenly Kawasa. Yeah, I thought it was an okay episode. I thought it was kind of a mixed bag.
I agree. I think it was very straightforward in doing its plot, and not a lot of fun stuff, which is when Legends is at its best. It
was straightforward in doing its plot, except for the fact that it felt very fragmented, and that we had so many different groups of people split up. So it felt like it was cutting around a lot. And here's my biggest problem with the episode. Actually, might be the fact that when the girl was possessed and doing the demonic voice, it looked stupid. I didn't.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
They were going for the Exorcist thing, but it felt. I mean, obviously it's always ADR'd when it's this demon voice over the person, but here it just felt really, I don't know, disconnected to me.
I don't know, it didn't bother me.
I don't know. None of the exorcism stuff did anything for me in this episode. I was kind of.
It looked exactly the same as it did in Constantine, which I watched all of.
I dropped that after one episode, so maybe 2 episodes.
So it felt consistent. Maybe I'm just used to that.
I don't know.
When his characters around.
Even compared to the other network TV, The Exorcist does a much better job of making the demonic entities and the possessions feel kind of, evil and sadistic, and there's stuff going on. I don't know. It felt like a cheap exorcism to me, I guess.
No, fair enough. I didn't have a problem with it though.
I didn't particularly do that. And that's cards on the table. Constantine, I can take him or leave him.
I like having him around.
And this version of Constantine, he's whatever as well. I can take him or leave him. I have no attachment to him whatsoever.
He plays up a bit too much of being, a master warlock. What's the phrase he uses? When he does his business card speech.
I think that's what it was. I think it was something like master warlock.
There was 3 different things there, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
And he's expert this. I'm like, oh, okay. It's playing up a bit too much. But other than that, I quite like it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't love the character that much anyway, so I mean that's just kind of a base problem for me. But on top of that, I feel like there's just little things where it feels kind of neutered compared to, and obviously here he has sex with Sarah sort of randomly, but even that I felt like was kind of next to meaningless. It was just kind of there.
It was, but Sarah does that all the time anyway.
Oh no, she does. She does.
That's why you don't even bat an eyelid when it happens.
It does, but everything with him, it felt like they were just hitting all the core beats of what you want in a Constantine story. If you've missed the character,
yeah.
And for me, I just don't care about any of that stuff. So it was going through all these things. Oh, he's trying to smoke. Oh, he's having sex with someone random. Oh, he's bisexual, so he's hitting on a guy as well. And they're just going through all these things, and and then his accent's kind of shaky.
I will on the accent because he doesn't do an accent.
He's Welsh.
It's just his Welsh.
Yes, he's from the wrong country, and I realise that people who can't tell the difference between a Welsh and English accent don't have this problem. But to me, he is from the wrong goddamn country.
This is the thing that bothers me. I wouldn't mind if they just told me he was Welsh. Just go with it.
Or just make Constantine Welsh. No, if I recall correctly, in the first episode of the Constantine show, they specifically went out of their way to point out he was from Liverpool.
They did. And this is clearly that same continuity.
Of course, yeah, it's Constantine. Even the music comes in, the little theme tune.
Which I do really like that music, I'll be honest. But yeah, don't tell me he's from Liverpool if he's going to have a Welsh accent. It's fine if he's got a Welsh accent. Just tell me this version of Constantine's Welsh for whatever reason. Yeah. It doesn't matter that much. It's not that different. I mean, it's a bit shit, but I mean, well, no, Liverpool's pretty shit. But it's not that different.
I just don't like Constantine that much. So the core draw of this episode was Constantine for anyone who's a fan of it, I imagine. And if you don't care about Constantine, this episode is whatever. And even the fun ideas that I thought they were going to do, like they're in the past, and we'll leave a note somewhere, and then hopefully one of the legends finds it because we've got no way of contacting. I thought,
which they immediately think of and go to play with.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I liked that they had that idea, and then it became irrelevant, and it just became about, let's go into the demon world and draw a symbol and teleport ourselves back. Which instantly became less interesting to me, because I just, it's just magic bullshit that has no rules.
It doesn't bother me. This is one of those things where I'm fine with just the magic bullshit happening.
That's why I gave up on that Constantine show, is that after 2 episodes, I already saw the formula of he just pulls out a different artifact or a different rule that we've never heard of before to defeat whatever the demon of the week is.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that bad on the show, but it did happen a few times.
Because I'm sure the pilot, he actually literally had something in his pocket that he just pulled out at the end and it fixed the thing. He might have done.
It definitely did it a handful of times, but it wasn't like every episode.
But that's just what I like about magic. It's just wishy-washy. Do anything you want. Like rules. Hard, fast rules.
This in a show which has broke its time travel rules a million times.
No, that's fair. And I have criticised the bullshit time travel rules on this show.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
To the point where I basically just accept that this is a cartoon. It's a live-action cartoon. And
cartoons can have wishy-washy magic.
They can do. Because I don't mean to contradict myself there, but like you said at the start of reviewing this episode, is that this episode lacked most of the fun that we typically like Legends for. It played it very straight, so it was very straight. The big draw was a character that I don't really care about that much, and then it's a really bad possession stuff with the girl that I just thought was kind of weak and lame.
I definitely liked it more than you, but that's because I'd like Constantine. I like the magic stuff inherently. But it's definitely a weaker episode of Legends, no doubt about it.
Yeah, like when the girl got possessed, and in fact, here's 2. They're nitpicks, but they're also kind of major nitpicks because I really want to rant about it. And they're the same nitpick essentially. They're just kind of 2 different. They did it twice in the same episode, and it really bugged me. So they're in Star City. I want to clarify that they're in Star City, not Central City. They're in Star City, right?
Yeah, I know where this is going.
And
I was going to bring up the same thing.
Yeah, and they go to Jitters, and they even mention in the scene, it's a franchise. Fine, sure. Here's the thing, though. Connor, you've been, say, a lot of McDonald's in your time.
Of course I have. I've been in McDonald's in multiple countries.
There you go. Have any 2 of them had the exact same layout and room size and building size?
Not one.
Yeah, not one. This was a cheap excuse to use the jitter set from The Flash because it's there. They redressed it slightly. The walls, I think, looked a little bit different, but not by much. The door was in the same place. It's the exact same.
Tables. Yeah, I like. Why not just say you're in Central? Would it really matter?
Yeah, there was no reason to. The only reason why it was in Star City is because they said that the mental hospital was in Star City. They could have just moved it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it didn't need to be. Nothing about this needed to be in Star City.
No, and I can't tell you exactly what episode it was, but the main staircase, like the foyer of the hospital, they've used that set before. I recognise that staircase from this show.
Fair enough. I don't recognise it necessarily, but I don't doubt you at all.
Vividly remember them being on that staircase. I couldn't tell you what episode it is because it's just like it's a staircase set.
Yeah, no.
I remember that foyer exactly. So. You know what? It's just I get you need to save money. I do, but just
set dressing.
Yeah, set dressing. Admittedly, it was a specific shape of the staircase that I recognised more than anything else, but
Yeah.
the jitters thing could be easily fixed by just saying they're in Central City, and I would never... And I said, oh, that's cool, they're using that jitters because they're in Central City.
Yeah.
That's the same jitters we see in the Flash every week. That'd be fine, that'd be cool. Instead, I'm rolling my eyes and going, no, you're saying this is in a different city, but it looks the exact same. It's
stupid.
It bugged me, what can I say?
Yeah, I didn't recognise the staircase, but I fully believe you that, yeah, okay, they've used this before. I have no reason to doubt that. Also, the thing that annoyed me while they were in the jitters, very convenient that on the TV is suddenly, Oliver stabbing Dark again. Like that never seems to be on the TV except when it's needed for a plot point.
See, I want to criticise that, but I feel like that's the same as like 99% of movies and TV shows that have like a radio broadcast of some kind. Or, they'll say, oh, by the way, there's an axe murderer's been escaped from the mental asylum. They'll turn on the radio, and it'll be the right exact time.
Oh, yeah, that news story's playing. Criticise that as well. The thing is, play it for a bit first, and then it comes on. Have something else on the TV that we can see in the background, and then go on to this, and go, next up.
See, this didn't bother me so much, mainly because it kind of tied into the fact that they're investigating Oliver right now and people think he's the Green Arrow. I just took this is set like, a month or two ago.
Yeah. So it definitely is, because they still mention it's still 2017 for them.
That's true. You're right. So to me, it just kind of fit in with what was going on in Arrow. So for me, it was actually just kind of fitting neatly into the continuity.
No, that's fair.
I'm not saying there's no criticisms to be had, but just on this, using the same set again, I remember we actually noticed this in season 1. They used the same place a couple of times. There was a big empty sort of warehouse set. They'd clearly just redressed in 2 different episodes.
Yeah, and they did it. Was it last season? The King Arthur episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was the exact same room as like a previous episode. You're right.
Yeah, like it was from like 2 episodes before as well.
Yeah. Oh, obviously it was a different time period, but it was clearly the same room with the same shape and everything else. Yeah, they just put in like some fancy chairs to make it look like Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just it took me out the show when they went to jitters. All I could think about was how cheap they were being.
I really think it is they spend so much of their budget on effects on this show because there's so much going on typically that this is where they cut the corners, is the sets.
Now, don't get me wrong. I get why it's harder on this show. Because obviously, I mean, you have your ship, which you get to use all the time. But they have to go outside the ship almost every episode. And unlike Flash and Arrow and Supergirl, they don't have their core 3 or 4 sets that they can keep using. They've got them on the ship, but they can't just stay in the ship all the time. They have to go outside. Whereas, an episode of Supergirl, it'll be at Catco, it'll be at the DEO, it'll be at Kara's apartment, they'll be at the bar.
Lena's office.
Like, there's like 5 sets there that I'd say 70% of each episode will take place, and then you'll have a few new locations for maybe the big fight or something, or
a warehouse here, a street there.
Yeah, but that'll be the bulk of the episodes. Whereas Legends doesn't get to do that to the same extent because it's on the ship and they're always moving around. So I get the difficulty of it. It really took me out when they were in jitters and they were trying to tell me this was Star City.
It really bothered me as well.
Because I actually went back to just double check the caption said Star City again. And sure enough it did. So
it was frustrating.
It probably sounds really petty, but it really bugged me.
No, it bothered me as well, especially when I said, just tell us we're in Central, and you get away with it then. There's no need for all this.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, is it was such an easy fix.
That's it. Like, I can forgive like the staircase. I didn't notice, but I can forgive the staircase. I can forgive the ones that we mentioned before, because fine, I get you've got to save time. You've got to cut your corners, like we just discussed. But just change the caption. Don't address it in this dialogue, and I will just assume you're in Central City. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. No, that's simple. And not to keep being a downer on this episode, but I don't know what the point was of having Snart back, because he leaves at the end of the episode, and I feel like he didn't really do anything while he was here.
I agree. It was occasionally funny. Yeah,
he was occasionally funny, but he was here for 2 random episodes that did not focus on his inclusion at all. He was just kind of around, and then randomly at the end of this one, he's just like, "Yeah, it's time for me to go."
Yeah, I thought we'd do something big with Mick for it.
Yep.
But no.
Nope. The best thing about him in this episode is he points out that Ava and Sarah have got some chemistry, and Ava's clearly into her.
When he goes back and freeze frame and
look, hair's down. She's looking away. She's flicking her hair up.
Classic.
Yeah. And then at the end, when even Gideon's like making a little remark, she's like, "I'll give you some privacy, Captain." You stupid AI.
And then she starts the call, and she's like, she's overexcited.
Yeah. So no, I'm digging that relationship. I mean, we've liked their chemistry for
since they started directing.
Yeah, basically since they started fighting early on. Yeah, it was like, okay, they're totally going to bang at some point.
Yeah.
So that was fine. And obviously the cliffhanger, which is kind of again really random and just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, by the way, I was looking for Rip. Rip's escaped. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's the plot of the next one. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it per se. It felt especially kind of like, again, nothing but it's kind of like Kawasa just kind of showing up.
I think at least here I was expecting this. This is kind of what I was expecting from this plot anyway. So it didn't feel that random to me. It was like, okay, this is just when we decided to do it. Whereas Kawasa did just show up.
Meanwhile, Amaya had, because they used the freeze gun to take down Kawasa. But to be fair, that would be a weakness for her.
It's a pretty good thought.
Yeah, and Amaya talks to her, tries to explain about our vision with our ancestor, and they like, the totems are the key to defeating Malice, and it's like, okay,
protect the totem, the new totem bearer, or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I think they said there's like 6 of them, so I assume that part of the season will be tracking down the last few of those and
probably
see where we go with that. And it's all fine. It's all fine. Again, it was kind of this weird thing where the main plot was so fractured because you had a pair with the girl, you had them in the past, you had all these things going on. That typically a subplot of her just having Kawasa captured and talking to her would be fine as a subplot in an episode, but here it was like the third or fourth plot, and it kind of felt like, okay, there's another thing. Let's make it just feel a little bit jumbled. And the scenes themselves were just kind of they were fine. They
were the sort of scenes where in a regular episode we go, yeah, they were fine. But we would be having fun with everything else, so we wouldn't really think about it.
Yeah.
But when it's another plot that's also just being okay, it's not doing anything fun.
Yeah. So overall, I have to say this is a fairly mediocre episode.
I agree. Yeah.
I wasn't as into it, which is a shame. But hey-ho. But yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything other big details we should mention. I mean, obviously Dahrk shows up. Dahrk's kind of making sure his daughter's okay and is accepting of Malice so that she'll have the power later on to resurrect him and so on.
He kind of has to, doesn't he?
He kind of does, yeah. I will say they kind of explained it later, but it turning out that the evil nurse was actually evil and was intentionally being awful to people. But when she just kind of assumes that Snart is a crazy person and just grabs him with 2 orderlies, just grabbing him and right, okay, what's this?
To be fair. You're in a mental hospital, and you got someone talking about being from a different time.
They grab him before she looks at the note.
So, you're right. No, that's true.
She treats him like this suspect before anything else happens. And even if he is snuck in, even if he's not supposed to be there, I would assume they're up to mischief rather than thinking, oh, they just happen to have broken into a mental hospital when they're crazy.
No, that's fair. I guess the first thought is this an inmate that's trying to escape? So maybe that's why they go that route. But she never seems to think that. Or
check it, or...
Yeah, that would be my thought, at least.
Yeah. It felt super TV that she just jumps to, lobotomy!
Yeah.
Which made me chuckle, admittedly, but it was kind of, a bit far-fetched. Hey-ho. So we'll move on. We'll move on to Black Lightning. Which is season 1, of course, episode 5, and it's called "And Then the Devil Brought the Plague, the Book of Green Light." Can I just say, the titles for this are bugging me, because they keep having the word book in the title, which is a nightmare for me, because when I'm sorting stuff just for keeping records between this and the comics podcast, I use the word book to differentiate so that I can see the comics episodes, and I'm going to have to think of a different way of doing it now, because almost all the episodes of this have got the word book in the title, and it's bugging me. Anyway.
Also, please don't put the green light in your DC show, because it'll make me want Green Lantern.
Yeah. I mean, we'd already
I know we'd already heard it, but
yeah.
When I just saw the title, I'd forgotten for a second, and then I was like, I know it's not that because I'd know if there was going to be Green Lantern, but
imagine
it's just
if
disappointing.
Imagine if John Stewart became a character on this.
Don't.
And he teamed up with Black Lightning.
Don't do this to us, because now we want this.
That'd be a good way of doing it. But yeah, so this obviously continued the plots. We, again, Anissa had kind of our own plot, of course. Jennifer not as much, but that kind of tied into the other stuff a bit more. But she did have a couple of scenes, of course. Tobias has got his own plot, sort of ticking that along, and obviously Jefferson being the main characters got the main bulk of things. I think this episode might be the weakest so far, just in the sense that it was the one that felt like it was the least focused, because it was like all these different plot threads kind of moving.
It will, and also to top that off, I got to the end and I was like, oh, that's the ending.
Yeah.
Because I felt like we hadn't progressed enough with any of the plots.
I feel like all the other episodes all had like a sort of neat kind of, this is the focus of this episode, it's got the beginning, middle and end, and by the end you feel like you've got the package that's complete. Whereas this one was, some shows have way more of these episodes, but this one's not had one yet, so this one felt very noticeably just everything moved forward a little bit, but nothing was really focused on enough to give it a, you know.
No, it was, you know, the end where, you know, it lingers on the final shot, and I thought it was cut into an ad break, and then the credits comes up. I was like, oh, that was the end. Yeah,
because he hunts down Max Landis, and then because throughout the episode he's been getting headaches and he faints at one point, and they're all worried about him. And he's told not to go. You know, even Gamby, who's, you know, typically pro go out and fight crime, even he's like, no, you should wait, Jefferson. You should wait.
Let's look this over first.
Yeah, but he's like, no, I'm going out, and he ends up like collapsing mid fight, and he can't fight him, and he's left there lying on the floor. So he's in a bit of bad shape. He's determined to figure this out, get behind the. You know, he confronts one of the truck drivers. They have a scene. But let's not gloss over his opening, where his suit's got a new upgrade.
Yep.
That channels his electricity so that he can hover.
Iron Man style.
Pretty Iron Man. I don't know if he can outright just fly through the air, though. They've not shown him do that yet, where he actually kind of goes, you know, horizontal and.
They haven't, no.
Beams. I don't know if he can do that, but he can hover.
Yeah.
Joe, it's like they're maybe giving him too much from his suit, because he's got his big shield, he's got his sort of protective force field, he's got his blast, he's got
the sniper blast.
Now he's got the hovering, he's got the kind of the electrical vision thing in his goggles,
the bulletproofness.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant by force field.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, I was thinking the actual big shield that he did before.
Oh no, I was no, that's the big shield. Where I was thinking the sort of the close range kind of.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, there's two different shields here.
So. I do think there's an argument to say they're giving him too much, where it's like, okay, we've got so many, like almost every episode's had a new ability kind of latched on, and it's only episode 5. Yeah. However, I do actually really like that basically all of them are all just like different things. Like, he just has one power. He has electricity, right? He's lightning. He shoots that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that all of his other things that he does are all just like different ways that the suit is channeling it in some way.
Yeah, I do like it, especially with electricity, because obviously, you know, we as people use electricity in so many different ways.
Yeah.
We channel it in you know, we can make picture, we can make sound, you know, all sorts.
Yeah, so I like it in that respect. I like it that everything is just the suit is channeling it in a different way. And you know, so he can't do this without, he can't hover without the suit. He needs the suit to do that. He needs the suit for the electric vision. He can't just do that. The suit is taking his energy and using it for something. I like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
So I like that part of it. That's pretty cool. Speaking of suits, by the end of the episode, not Jennifer, sorry, Anissa's got a. She actually puts on her black like cat suit that she had for the party a couple of episodes ago, and she does a couple of kicks in the mirror and it rips her suit, and she's like, "Crap!" in a proper suit. So she goes out and basically has like a dress-up montage. We don't really get to see what she's wearing most of the time, admittedly. We just kind of see, like...
You get the hints of the discarded things every so often.
Yeah, there's the clerk in the store kind of helping her and, like, suggesting things. And you just see, like, all these wacky colours. I'm like, man, what the hell is she going to be wearing? I'm not...
I know. I was like, where's this going?
Now, I've got a feeling this is a temporary suit, and she's going to get, like, a more Black Lightning-esque looking... kind of
once she gets roped in by Gamby.
Yeah, once Gamby's made aware of her situation, I feel like she's going to get an upgrade. Because right now she has a really sort of colourful cat suit.
Very red.
Yeah. But hey, I think the wig's a nice touch though. I do think that makes it genuinely
a classic callback, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes it genuinely harder to recognise someone if you're looking for a different hair colour. So
I'm pretty sure she used a wig in the comics, though, right?
Yeah, I'll have to
around the same time that Black Canary was doing it.
Yeah, I remember Black Canary doing it.
I think they were both doing it around the same time.
I don't think I read much with Thunder in it back then.
So.
Actually, I can't wait till she picks that name. Like, cause she has to find out her dad's Black Lightning first, though, right?
Yeah, she has to. Although she maybe not too far away from kind of putting the pieces together with the stuff that she's looking into.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, like, and I almost wonder, like, can she only pick that name once both her and her sister are picking names together, and then they realise, hey, we can be Thunder and Lightning.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I've got a thing where do they almost like shy away from using the pair of them as heroes for a while until whatever's going on with Black Lightning gets worse and he's out of action, and they step up and be the replacement?
Certainly, Jennifer being the younger one.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I think being the younger one, I think she'll wait for that. Whereas obviously, and this is already kind of,
she's on that path. Yeah.
Do you know what I really like? Actually, see when she goes to the what do you call it? The storage locker at the end, and there's like the padlock, and she goes to rip it off. I like how messy it is. Like, she doesn't just rip the padlock; she rips off like a shard of the metal door. It just kind of like rips.
I like it, and I don't.
Yeah.
Because I like the way it looks, but I'm going, really? That padlock was strong. Like, that thin metal padlock was stronger than that whole piece of door. I'm not sure I bought that. I feel like the padlock would snap first. It's pretty thin steel.
Depends on the shutter. How good the shutter is, I guess.
It could do, yeah. It just didn't look like it would to me, but it could be wrong.
Because we know it's been there for a good number of years, at the very least.
Yeah,
so maybe the metal's rusty. It
could be. It didn't look particularly rusty, but yeah, it could be.
I don't know. I kind of liked how metal. Like, it's like it wasn't just a neat thing. It was just like no, the metal just this random.
It was a very rough rip.
Yeah.
I did like the look of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked how kind of it wasn't neat. It wasn't like this perfect action. It's showing how rough she is that she went to do this and it created this big mess.
Yeah.
I like that. It's kind of like when you try to rip a page in half perfectly, but then you just completely balls it up and you end up with this slanty line going down the side.
That's why you fold it in half first.
That still doesn't work for me. It's just a nightmare. I can't do it. It's a superpower I just don't have. So how does she get to this storage locker then? She starts looking into all this stuff that happened in the past. She looks up like random superpowers, like feats of strength and things like that, and it leads actually to her grandfather, who was a journalist.
Yeah.
And he seemingly, we find out in this episode that he was killed by Tobias, or at least Max Landis for Tobias. Like, this was something that happened back then, and it was because he was going to publish these stories about what was going on. And we also find out, in kind of connection to that, I assume that Tobias is taking something that keeps him young, stops him from aging.
I don't know if he's still taking something, or if it's just something he was injected with once and it's just in his system.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
It is.
I mean, I know nothing about Tobias from the comics, so I don't know.
No, I'm getting everything from this here.
Yeah. Because that was an interesting scene when he comes to the store. He comes to the Gambies, and like Gambi comes up and he's got his gun, so he's there. And I was kind of, because obviously we had that scene a couple of weeks ago where he erased the footage. He's like, "Oh, yeah. Sorry, Jefferson," and he deleted the footage. And here we're getting a bit more of a sense where I feel like what's going on here is that Gambi kind of agreed to something to keep Tobias out of the light. Like,
Definitely.
Like he wouldn't tell whoever. He would keep it quiet that he's alive as long as he stays in the shadows and doesn't come out. Maybe to protect Jefferson, maybe to whatever. Kind of like how when I first saw that scene, I said, "Oh, ultimately his reasons are good, even if it seems misguided." And I'm still getting that feeling from this scene. It feels like he made a choice that he didn't.
No, I agree, because he mentions our deal was you don't show your face.
Yeah.
So it does feel like no, you play dead, you do your stuff in the dark, whatever, and we'll leave you to it because I won't tell him that you're alive. But
yeah, well, that's assuming that Tobias even knows that.
No, that's true, because he mentions, what was it, NSA, something like that.
Yeah, when the deal was made, he'd have thought Black Lightning was dead. So
yeah.
I wonder if it was a deal he made with them until he thought he could convince Jefferson to come back.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it was before he quit. Maybe it was like he made this deal for him to keep out the limelight because when Jefferson was aware of him, he was obsessed, and
Yeah, we went over this a bit. He wasn't focusing on the good of the community in general, like Gambi wants him to. He was just focusing on Tobias and the personal vendetta.
Yeah, it was revenge. I mean, my only criticism of this whole revelation that Tobias had a hand in his father's death is that we only find out about it in this episode, and then by the end of the episode, almost in a separate plot, Jefferson's going after Max Landis for it.
Yeah, but he's not going after him because of this, though. It's just
no.
He's popped back up.
No, it's true, but because even he might have been missing for all this time. But when it's just when he says, "Oh wait, the guy who killed my father's out there. I'm going out to get him." It felt a little bit clunky to me that we just learned that from Anissa's plot, like 2 scenes earlier.
It did a little, yeah. We could have done that next episode maybe instead.
Yeah. Either you do her plot with this episode later, or you maybe did it a few episodes ago. Either way, it felt a little bit clunky that we just learned it, and then 2 scenes later, Jefferson's like, "Oh, that's the guy who killed my father." I'm like, "Oh, okay, right."
Yeah. I do like how it explains the personal vendetta a bit more.
Yeah. You get a sense that a lot of stuff was going on, and to keep it covered up, his father got killed. And I like that it's hinting at that there was superpowered things going on, that there was experimentation, that there was some sort of weird, X-Force style Weapon X program or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
To compare it to just something from Marvel, but I kind of like that. And obviously, Anissa finds a substance of some kind in this storage compartment, and I mean, obviously, the first thing, it's a drug. I mean, it probably is, but I'm wondering if it's more than just, like, is this the magic stuff that's keeping Tobias young, or
could be,
or whatever. I'd be curious about that. And speaking of vendettas, Tobias goes and visits his father. We get a flashback, which honestly might be my one real legitimate complaint about the show so far, is this flashback.
Yeah, okay.
I just thought it was a bit goofy. The actor had, like, because he was older in the later scenes when we see him in present day, they had to murky him up to make him look younger, and I don't know. It felt like a really just very stereotypical, like, bad father flashback.
It did. It was very generic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and this show is typically very good at not feeling generic, and I felt like that scene was very generic, which is kind of why it stood out to me. But he goes to confront his father, and he beats the shit out of him a little bit. And
yeah, I do like that part of the motivation for Tobias is that he doesn't fit in anywhere. That's he's so ostracized because he doesn't fit in with his family, but he doesn't belong anywhere else. So and he's tried in the past, but nothing's kind of worked out clearly. Yeah,
he's not black, he's not white. He doesn't fit in with either side. So he's in this kind of weird space. It's an interesting motivation, and. Yeah, so I think he's proven interesting. I did notice though that his scenes this week felt less stylized. Like, a lot of his scenes just felt like they were filmed normally, whereas I feel like before there was a lot more Dutch angles, there was a lot more sort of style to them to give him some presence.
No, I agree.
He still has presence as an actor. He's got a very sort of like strong kind of like aura around him. He really commands the screen when he's on the screen, but. I felt like the style wasn't quite there this week, and I don't know if it's just because they're trying to phase that out, or if it was just like an off week for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a case of because we're showing more of him, we're humanizing him a little bit more. It's okay. We drop some of the mystery of who he is, so we're not hiding it as much behind all the other angles and the shots.
Yeah, and he gets sent a letter with dust in it, and we get a neat little flashback to the last episode where Lady Eve explained that albinos were sometimes crushed to dust because they were believed to be magical.
Yeah,
and do we think there's actually that because that could just be some dust?
It could be, yeah,
from anything, or it could be like, do you think it's actually crushed albino bones or whatever?
I think it's crushed bone of some sort.
Okay, all right.
I don't know exactly what type of bone, but I do think it's a bone of some sort, just to give it the extra menace.
Oh, sure. I don't think most people could identify from dust, crushed.
Whether or not it's bone or not.
Yeah, well, it's bone or not. Never mind which animal it comes from.
No, I think you have to run some tests.
Yeah. I assume you can find out though. I'm assuming if you.
I'm sure you can find out with some testing.
Put it under a microscope. I'm sure you can at least figure out which species it comes from, if nothing else. But yeah. So that was a dark little scene. I thought the scene of him beating up his father was kind of dark. I was like, okay, right, so it's still got its edge to it, which is good.
Kind of just crushes him at that point.
Yeah. I did. Jennifer only had a couple of scenes really this episode, but I actually did quite like her plot. She's going roller skating with her friend, and some other kids that she's got a rivalry with, rival track students, who she beat before, start giving her shit, and it kind of escalates into a bit of a fight. And we see that she can take care of herself because both of them come at her, and she kind of like use a couple of moves, and she flat out breaks one of their wrists. And she's like, "Well, you came at me, and that's it." Until
it seems perfectly justified, to be fair.
Oh no, it does. Like that's the thing. In this scene, I never felt like, oh, she went too far, or if anything, I was just sitting being impressed that she was. Oh, she's okay.
I was like, they came at you.
Yeah, they've set okay, so they're setting up that she can actually take care of herself in a basic way. She's been, taught self-defense.
Yeah.
And then the girl brings her parents or whoever over to the house to complain. Your daughter did this, and they're sitting down and. I like that it shows how diplomatic Jefferson can be, because when they first come in, they're really like loud, they're really shouting, they're being very antagonistic. But then when it cuts to later and they're sitting down, they're all kind of laughing and joking about their kids over like tea or something like that. And then that's when Jennifer comes in, and the family leaves, and they're giving her shit like, oh, grounded, blah blah blah. There's even a little joke like, oh, grounded doesn't work on you, so I'm not grounded. Oh no, you're grounded. And it goes on, and then she's like, yeah, but did she mention there was two of them? And I was defending myself, and Jefferson's like, two? He looks impressed.
He has the exact same look as he did last week, when Anissa had that line at the dinner table.
Oh, yeah.
After he walks off. Yeah. It's the exact same look he's got on his face. He's like, oh, hello.
Yeah, but he's impressed. He's like, and he's proud of his daughter, and like Lynn's like, are you serious? No.
Not now.
Trouble. Yeah. It's like, but there was two of them, you say. Two.
It's when Lynn walks off. And he leans in and goes, so there was two of them. I don't care what your mother says. Tell me everything.
And I liked the little speech he gave her later when they're sitting on the couch, and he's like, hey, fighting should always be about putting out the fire, never about, making it worse. So, I like that. I like the general heroic statement that's being made there. And it's nice that they're setting up that she's capable somewhat in terms of fighting, because it means when she actually does get some powers and she starts fighting, it's not going to feel like, out of nowhere she's got
that they know how to look after themselves to at least a basic degree.
Yeah. That's a small thing that I really like, but I like when she's looking for, because she's going to go out and looking for something, right? And she's wanting her black hoodie again, because we saw her last episode. She put the hoodie on to go.
Oh, Anissa, yeah.
Yeah, to go.
You jumped over without mentioning.
Yeah, and it's set up in this episode that I keep calling her China because that's the actress name, but Jennifer keeps stealing her clothes, and she's like, "Have you got my black hoodie?" And she's like, "No, I got my own hoodies," but she's sitting wearing it as she's watching TV.
She covers it up with something.
And that gave me a little giggle. I like the idea that that's just a cutaway to her being in the house doing a normal thing. It's not really part of her plot or anything. It's just she's just there and around the house because of course she is.
And it's also definitely set up for her walking in and finding the outfit. Because, she just comes in, she's like, we see her come in while Anissa's in the room for the grey jacket, I think it was. Yeah. But then the black hoodie, we don't see her take that. She's just been in and taken it at some point.
Yeah. So we see her, she's done it twice that we know of. So, they're setting that up. I did think it was a little bit strange that we'd never got, like, a resolution, because we see the jacket get ripped, because... Like, Anissa's not very happy she's taking it, and then when she's in the fight, it gets ripped by the little girl.
It did feel like we were missing a scene there.
Yeah, there was never like, and I'm not expecting much. I'm just expecting like a little funny scene where Anissa's like, "What the hell? Where's my jacket?"
Yeah, I like that jacket.
Yeah, just a little joke like that. Maybe threaten to beat up her sister. I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe definitely don't let your sister take your hoodie after they ruin the jacket.
Hey, she didn't let her take it.
No, but be a bit more rigorous.
As far as this is concerned, that hoodie's just vanished into thin air. Jennifer's just hiding under. It's not even like she's outside. She's wearing it sitting on the couch. She could just hand it over.
Yeah, she could. But I love that she's got the hood up and everything. Yeah. But she just covers herself up with something. It's like, no, there's no hoodie on me.
He can just hand it over right now. She's like, no, I'm comfy in this hoodie. I'm not giving it up. I ain't doing shit. So no. I mean, I still quite like the episode. I just compared to the previous episodes, it was a little bit less focused, and there was a lot of things going on that kind of.
Yeah, that's true. I will say again, it's really reinforcing how natural the sibling relationship is. Like when she's like close the door on the way out, and then she doesn't. That's very much what I grew up with my brothers. Like you close the door and then intentionally just to be a dick.
As an only child, when Jennifer did not close that door, I wanted Anissa to grab her by the head and just smash her against the wall for it. That infuriated me.
It's very natural.
Infuriated me.
You should be glad you're an only child then, because otherwise you'd have gone through that a lot.
I do not have tolerance for this shit. I just don't. And I don't care. Once the scene moves on, I don't really give a shit. But just in the moment, it was like, oh, you came out of the room. You took something. She didn't even want you to take her jacket, and then you took it anyway. And all she asked was to shut the door on the way out, and you didn't even do that.
Sounds about right to me.
Oh, was your brother coming in stealing your jackets on a regular basis?
Not my jackets, but it'd be like, oh, I'll be. He'll come in and take like an Xbox game or something like that. And then I'll be like, all right, well, I'll be like, well, I was gonna go on that, but whatever, fine. All right, but shut the door. No, just walks out, and I'm like, oh, God's sake, now I've got to get up and shut the damn door. All the time.
I have everything organised. Even when I was a kid, I'd hate people coming in and taking things out of my room.
Of course you did. You had them in lists.
God damn right I did. Alphabetised or genre, depending on my mood. Every so often you'd have a day where you'd rearrange everything to suit your new your new inkling.
To be fair, I think about like once every 6 to 9 months, I just rearrange my entire room. Be like, do you know what, I'm bored of this now.
I used to do that. I don't do it so much now with various rooms, mainly because I just can't be arsed. I'm just too tired to. When I was a kid and I just had the one room, it was like, okay, no, I'll rearrange things all the time.
Yeah, same. Like, like every so often, I'm like, yeah, I'm bored of this setup now. Let's try something else.
As an adult, I'm just like, no, everything's fine the way it is. I don't care.
As long as I can see the TV, I don't give a shit.
Oh well. So that's Black Lightning. That is good.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, it's good. So I guess we'll move on to some of the oldest material then. So this is all the new shows for the week. So we've got Lois and Clark, season 1, episode 6. It's called "I've Got a Crush on You." Is episode 6, like I said, and this one we have a group of arsonists called the Toasters who are burning up real estate around the docks, the pier, the not quite beach, but I'm thinking of that because I'm thinking of Superman the movie, because Lex wants the beachfront property. Yeah. Which is basically so ultimately it's going to turn out to be Alexis behind it all. But we got this crime boss guy, his wife or his sister and and like they own a club, but they also do all the organised crime. Lois is going undercover as a showgirl to try and like get information.
Yeah. And then Clark goes undercover.
Yeah, as King, as Charles King.
Yeah,
is his alias. He's
just a dude, and then he's a bartender.
Yep. And that's the plot. So they go undercover. They're kind of barman, and she's a waitress, but then she becomes a singer on stage.
Yeah.
And Lex is there one night, and he sees her sing, and it's more of the romance going on. It's at first Clark's jealous of her because she's not jealous, but he's worried because she's in this dangerous situation. Then she's jealous of Clark because Tony, the mob boss sister, she seems to like Clark and is like kind of flirting with him, and that's kind of the episode.
And of course she's jealous because she doesn't want Clark to get the story before her.
Well, that's what she claims.
I do believe there is part of that professional just need to get the story.
Well, yeah, but that's the obvious thing that's surface level. But
it is. But
there's definitely the implication that she may also be a little bit jealous.
There's that as well. But I do think with Lois especially, there's a big drive to be like, I want the story.
But I don't think the bathrobe eating the rocky road, that's not for professional jealousy.
No, that one's not.
That's she stole my boo. That's that.
That is, yeah.
So. Yeah. What did you think of this one?
It was alright. It was some fun moments.
Yeah. This is kind of like a very typical okay episode of Lois and Clark. It's not like it's probably my least favourite so far, even though it still has some really fun character beats. With Lois and Clark hiding in the closet, and then Clark pretending that, oh no, I found the mole, this is Lois Lane of the Daily Planet. He gives her up, and he's like, I'll toss her out for you. But then the bouncer's kind of standing outside, so he still has to like toss her out properly. He can't just pretend. So he uses his X-ray vision to like look inside the dumpsters. Oh, that one's all paper and stuff. No, that's too nice. That one's got all the food in it. Let's throw her in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I said, there's definitely some fun stuff in here, but it's a very standard episode.
Yeah. There's a running gag that because she's pretending to just be a dumb showgirl, that everyone keeps slapping her ass and stuff, and every time it happens, she's like wanting to kill the person that's doing it. And Clark does it at one point, and she's just like, she looks like, oh, he's going to hear about that later.
Yeah.
So
it's amusing. You got Clark with a beard as his disguise for a bit.
Yeah, a little goatee.
Yeah. It's the classic for Superman. It's like, he needs a disguise. Just throw a beard on him. That'll do for now.
Yeah, and then she actually tells him at one point to go and get a shave. Tony, that is. Yes. And I'm like, well, that was easy. He just goes out of the next room and just pulls off the goatee.
Yeah. I'm like, well, there wasn't much point of this disguise, really, was there? I'm like, well, okay, you're just going to get rid of it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much now. I remember later on in the show that they're kind of semi-famous in the city, like because Lois and Kent are like the hotshot team reporter.
All the people who are in these circles that would know about these things.
Yeah. Because I remember in later seasons, there's actually points where there's like a billboard of them. I remember an episode kind of focusing on that a little bit. So you get that. The actual plot, I mean, it's a little bit convoluted in that at first it's like, okay, Boss Man's bad, and then it turns out Tony's actually behind the toasters to try and take over the crime family.
Yeah.
And then it turns out Lex hired her because he wants the real estate.
Yeah, and the stuff with Tony is like, she's not all bad, she actually wants to go legitimate and like stop the crime stuff.
Because for a while you're kind of like, oh, maybe like, she is an okay person, and Clark's kind of falling for it. But then you find out she's getting there by hiring arsonists to, achieve it. So you're like, nah, she's a bad guy. So it's whatever.
She is. She's the lesser of two evils out of the, her and her brother. But clearly not the nicest person that we're led to believe for a while.
Yeah, honestly, the jealousy stuff's the most fun though. I really like when Tony's over at his apartment and he's kissing her because Lois is hiding because they're not meant to know each other because she still thinks he's king, and he starts kissing her to like just distract her to get Lois out of the apartment. He's just kind of like going like that. But my favorite part is before they start kissing, and it's like she says something to him, and it just cuts to Lois just mouthing what she just said, like she's really jealous.
Something.
Yeah, it was those little bits that were really cracking up. And obviously, we've said this a lot, but the cast are kind of what elevates a lot of this show.
Definitely.
And so that was really working in that sense. The actual plot of this one is kind of forgettable. It's just nothing special.
So some nice one-liners, I guess. When Clark goes up to the toasters, it's like, I think you need to cool down. Gets him with the ice breath.
I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger should be delivering that line.
Probably. And
not just because he played Mr. Freeze, it just sounds like an Arnold like one-liner.
It does, yeah.
There's a cool down. And freeze ray.
Can't argue with that.
This was a bit on the nose, but I actually did kind of like Perry's line at one point because he's because Clark's like, oh, Lois, this is too dangerous. Going undercover with this crime family. You can't do this. And Perry's like, no, Clark. As the editor, I need to trust my reporters. Like, she tells me she can do this. I need to trust that. If you said you could go up to the roof and fly, I'd miss you, but I'd have your back. And obviously it's very on the nose because he's Superman and yada yada yada. But I actually did kind of like just the general sentiment. I'd miss you, but I'd support you.
Yeah, like, you're gonna die, but I'll let you do it anyway.
Yeah. So yeah. So it was a decent episode, but not necessarily a knockout the park. Like yeah. So that is Lois and Clark. That'll move us on to Smallville, season 1, episode 6. It is called Hourglass. Now, this episode
has a lot of Lana.
It does have a lot of Lana. It has Lana befriending because part of the school, Smallville High, something they do. All the kids have to do 30 hours of community service. This is like an awful school to go to. Yeah, this sounds like a nightmare to me. I
had to do like 2 weeks of work experience for my school, and I thought that was shite.
Yeah, I did work experience. I never did community service, so gladly. That said, though, Pete at the start does mention they could have done it helping out with the girls' swim team. So,
yeah. It seems like it's just Clark being shit.
Well, no. It sounds like he's being shit. He's like, oh, why did you pick the old folks home, Clark? Why be here? And then like Lana comes out. Oh, I didn't know you were volunteering here, Lana's like, yeah, sure, Clark. Yeah, sure.
Of course not. Of course. I love that Pete knows exactly what's going on. It's like, all right, okay.
here's my weird thing. So they have a conversation, and Clark and Lana are talking. She's like, "Oh, yeah, you've got this old lady. Oh, she's kind of fun. She says she can see the future, and this is, and they're kind of smiling, and they're talking, they're making small talk." And all I could think the entire scene was, wasn't it just last episode they kind of almost went on a not date to a Radiohead concert, and they kept being awkwardly talking about how it's not really a date and how this is kind of weird, and there's no Whitney in this episode whatsoever. We just have lots of more Clark and Lana making googly eyes at each other, because...
Not as much googly eyes as last episode, admittedly.
Oh, of course not. They're too busy both dealing with their old people. Lana befriends an old man who, it turns out later on, used to be a killer, a serial killer. He falls in a lake and emerges a young man. And here's my thing. Now, after this happens, it shows you that there's some kryptonite in the lake. Which, by the way, kryptonite in the water does this. Okay, sure. Especially since kryptonite in the water, like 2 episodes ago, made like the...
but that was icy water.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that was cold water. This is regular water.
So, regular water makes you young again, icy water makes you into like a natural Mr. Freeze.
Stop pretending that kryptonite has rules.
Right? So, not only that, right, so he becomes young again. My biggest problem with this at the start, though, is that as soon as he like comes out of the water, he looks at his hand for a second and goes, "Yeah, I'm young!" Right? And I'm like, no, this would take more time accepting. You wouldn't just...
I feel at least... turn around and look in the reflection and then buy it.
Yeah,
not just a hand. He's
just excited immediately, and I'm like, how do you know what's just happened? Like, you'd have to take some time to accept it and realise what's happened. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway. That's just weird.
So she befriends him, then he disappears because he's young, and he goes around kind of stalking people and killing people based on, like, he's killing the kids of all the people who wronged him back when he was younger.
I think it was the kids of all the jury who put him away.
That's what it was. Yeah, the jury. Because he killed he was meant to go to the music conservatoire in Metropolis, and his teacher basically voted against it or whatever, and because of that he killed his teacher, and then he obviously got convicted of killing him, and that was the jury. That was the backstory. So while Lana's befriended this old man, Clark has befriended an old woman who also has a kryptonite power, because she went blind in the day of the meteor shower. Of course, Clark gets some guilt from this, which he mentions. Like, oh, meteor shower? Oh, yeah, nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Good job. You can't see me blushing about how this is all my fault, isn't it?
Yeah. And she like sees the future. She like touches someone and she gets a glimpse of their future. And I'll be honest, I'd completely forgotten that an episode of this show ended with Lex, like, she touches Lex at the end of the episode, she sees the future of him destroying the planet, and it kills her.
Yeah.
That's how the episode ends. She dies because she sees Lex's future.
Yeah, it's so shocking. I do like that he looked very President Lex.
He did. What's funny, I remember they reused this footage later on. And there's a similar kind of like flash forward or like nightmare sequence later on. They use the same footage of him in the White House, and then it cuts to footage of Terminator 3.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this back when it came out. I remember because I recognise it because there's a shot of all the nuclear bombs going up and landing, and it's actually effects footage from Terminator 3 of Judgment Day happening. And I'm like, that's cheeky.
They borrowed it, yeah.
Just cheeky is what it is.
Cheaper than doing it themselves.
And I get it, it's meant to be symbolic, but he's actually in a field of like bones, and then it starts raining blood. I'm like, all right.
But, yeah, all the flowers die.
But over the top, and all of it's horrible CG as well, might I add. Like, it is atrocious looking.
Yeah.
The flowers dying looked absolutely ugh.
It's one of these things where I like it in idea, but it just looks awful. That I'm like, we shouldn't have done this.
I think it's a bit on the nose, particularly for Lex, who I don't necessarily see as someone who's trying to destroy the world.
No, that's fair. I see. I don't think it's supposed to be he'll intentionally destroy the world. Just more through his ambitions, he will lead to its ruin.
Yeah, I get it. And obviously I get that it's symbolic. It's not meant to be taken literal that he'll actually nuke the planet. But whatever. But not that Smallville's known for its salty. So here's a problem after this. So Clark, after the old woman guesses that Pete's forgot his keys, he immediately just believes that she can see the future, and the very next scene he comes home and Martha and Jonathan are doing some work in the barn, they're cutting some wood or whatever they're doing, they're using power tools.
Pretty standard farm work.
Standard. They've got the goggles on, they've got gloves, something they've done 100 times before, million times before even, I don't know.
Yeah.
right? He comes in, he's like, Jesus, guys, think of safety. I should do that. I'm Superman. Oh, they didn't say that because he's not Superman yet. But
we should point out that the old woman did say to him that someone close to him was going to die.
Yeah, I know, but the very next scene he comes in.
You hadn't mentioned that.
Sure,
yet.
but he pulls out the plug and he's like, "Guys, I'm here for this kind of stuff. You shouldn't do that." Old woman, she knows what she's talking about. Someone's going to die.
I appreciate that Jonathan's like, mate, this is a farm. This is what we do.
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing.
I just feel like he jumps to just believing entirely that someone close to him is going to die after one conversation. It feels so absurdly true. And then then the next couple of scenes that he meets someone, he's kind of like being, "Oh, Lex, you okay? You fine?" Like because Lex comes skidding around the corner in his car. Now, to be fair, he did almost die in the first episode with his car.
I think this is a good justification to be like, hey, slow down.
Yeah, because he did almost die already with this type of shenanigans
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes. And he's like, he basically goes to the old woman. He wants to know about Clark because she basically figures out he's got powers. She kind of just guesses that, "Oh, you're special. You're here to help people," and blah 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 blah. And it's all fine. Meanwhile, Killer Man is like, talking to the girl at the coffee shop, and he has one scene where he overhears like them talking about him as an old man. He's like, and he starts using all these old phrases. He complains that the coffee's too expensive, and calls people doll and other old man things. He wants the
coffee from beans, not instant coffee.
Yes. So, I mean, this is a stupid episode. Let's get that out of the way.
It is pretty stupid, but it's not the most offensive episode either.
No, it's not the worst, but it does encapsulate a lot of what makes Smallville a stupid show.
It does, yeah.
It does have a lot of that. Chloe's not got much here. She's just kind of there for one or two scenes to do some research or whatever.
She barely does anything, yeah.
Pete, of course, as always, doesn't really do anything. Lana's a bit upset at one point though because she's on the wall of weird. She discovers the wall and she's like, "I'm on here." And this is me getting back to
bitch.
their like awkward non-date from last episode. Is that he's like, "Hey Lana, I don't see you as someone, as the little girl in the outfit who lost her parents. I don't see you as that. I see you as more." And she's like, "I know, Clark. You're the only one who does." And I'm like, yeah, totally not a date last time.
Yeah.
Where's Whitney, Lana? Hey?
Yeah, not even a mention.
It doesn't get mentioned once.
Yeah.
Does it even cut to him doing his community service? I don't know what he'd picked, but he's not there.
Probably not something stupid in an old person's home.
To be fair,
I like how Clark managed to rope Pete into doing it along with him. He's like, "Yeah, come on, we'll do the old folks."
But Chloe's elsewhere doing something else.
Chloe's elsewhere, and Lana didn't even manage to drag Whitney into it.
No. I just associate Pete's more loyal. Pete stands by his friend, whereas Whitney's just like, "Oh, I mean, you're my girlfriend," but no, I'm not doing it.
I bet Whitney doesn't have to do it. I bet the school lets the football team off.
Yeah.
All right, you're doing your community service by serving your school.
Yeah. By the way, for anyone who actually does volunteer to places like this, we are not trying to be insulting. It's fine. We're making fun of it in the context of being forced to do it at high school. Yes. So. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say. Obviously, the big action sequence that happens is that we find out Jonathan's father was on the jury, so he comes to kill Jonathan, but he's not there. So we get like a slasher movie-esque sequence of him chasing Martha around the farm, and
it wasn't too bad actually.
Yeah, we have the grain falling on them in the silo and stuff. So
Martha being smart, being like, "Hey, where's our usual gas man?" And whatever name she gives.
Yeah, she tricks him. She deduces.
Yeah, she's like, "This doesn't feel right," and she drops a name. And he pretends like he knows who that is.
Yeah.
Like, no, that wasn't really a real person.
It's pretty smart. One small thing I kind of liked, I guess, is that when Clark does rush back, thinking his dad's in trouble, and his dad's there, he's just arriving as well. He's like, "Oh, I think he's still here." And like at the time, she's in the silo, kind of like screaming at that point, like for help. She's like, "Oh, yeah. Clark, Jonathan, someone help!" I do kind of like that this is a situation where if he had his super hearing, he'd find her quicker, but he doesn't yet. So that takes too long anyway. I mean, he just sort of runs around.
A quick X-ray sweep as well.
Yeah, but like I kind of like the idea that right now that this is more dangerous than it will be in a couple of seasons because that power's not kicked in yet. Like I don't know. I kind of like that basic idea, I guess.
I agree. Another thing to give the episode a small amount of credit.
Oh, God.
I really didn't feel like there was a lot of songs this episode. There was a couple, but it didn't feel like anywhere near as much as usual.
All right, okay. That's actually kind of fair. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a point for it.
Yeah. We had Lex showing Clark the Porsche.
Oh, true, yeah. And Clark's
for
like,
whatever reason.
yeah, look, don't delve in the past, dwell in the past, Lex. Move forward with your life.
Yeah, you survived. I don't remember anything. It's cool. Look, it just ripped open. Just leave it.
Yeah, and instead Lex is just obsessing more and more about about who Clark is, and you know, how did he survive? How did he rip the roof open? What's going on?
Yeah, definitely.
But hey, so yeah, stupid ass plot, but not the worst episode of Smallville, I guess.
It was the easiest one to watch in a while because it didn't make me angry.
Okay, I'll accept that. And that'll take us on to the last episode we're going to talk about this week, which is Young Justice Season 1, Episode 15. It is called Humanity. And this delves into the Red Tornado, the Red Inferno, the Red Volcano, and the Red Torpedo. There you go, that's the other one. And also we had Zatanna in this episode. She was a guest member of the team for the episode. Interestingly voiced by Lacey Chabert, who was in Mean Girls that we just had an influx on.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was like, I recognise that name. We just talked about her. So the team are told they're not supposed to go looking for Red Tornado. That's a Justice League mission. And the team are like, you know what? Screw this. We're going to go anyway. And Zatanna's there. They drag her along. She's like, we'll just say you kidnapped me. And she's like, yeah, I'm up for it.
I like how they say that to Black Hero. You know, when the ship starts taking off, and Black Hero's like, hey, where are you taking the ship? We didn't say you could go anywhere. She's like, we're kidnapping Zatanna. It's fine.
To shore the docks and the pier and stuff.
The harbour, yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. Like, have fun, kids.
Yeah. They can be trusted. They're good kids.
Yeah, I like that it came back to that at the end with a little joke ending where it comes back to him and Zatara's just like, hey, Canary, good kids, they can be trusted. She is grounded forever. Which was an ironic cut because she just said, he's going to ground me forever. Cut to him saying, she is grounded forever. So I liked that it ended with a different spin, than villains going, oh, we are the light, or the light's in charge, or we're working for the light.
No, it played for some fun at the end.
It was nice. I actually like this episode a lot. It might be my favourite episode so far.
Yeah, I love this episode.
It's great. We get some backstory. We find out about Red Tornado's origins. Obviously, Morrow, the scientist who built him, and why he built these robots. They were to infiltrate. We get flashbacks with the Justice Society of America. You see Jay Garrick, you see Sand, you see Alan Scott at one point, I think. You see a bunch of them. So that's super fun. And the idea that they were flawed because they kept thinking they were human, whereas Tornado didn't think he was human, but wants to be human, which is kind of to the creator anyway. It's his flaw. And then he's made this new android, the super, Red Volcano, who's going to be the biggest baddest. He's got all the memories of the three before him, so he's got all this intel that he can use.
Yep.
But he's the big bad. The team try to figure things out. Wally, basically, Dick's like, hey, I mean, Batman's the world's greatest detective. He's not found him yet. I think what this is going to take is some sort of just really random idea from an idiot. Something outside the box.
That's what it is, yeah. Batman's tried everything logical, so we need to do something stupid.
Something illogical, yes. Yeah. And then they'll just turn and look at Wally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have Dick's kind of into Zatanna, which, of course, why wouldn't he be?
She's into it as well.
Yeah. Well, my favourite part is that at one point he says something like, oh, I bet you've got a lot of good moves. And he's like, oh, sorry, that was really Wally. And it's like, it's okay.
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah. But I like that he acknowledged that, okay, that was a Wally line. Like,
yeah, it was, yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, so they go and they fight, but a lot of it is about the humanity and like Red Tornado fighting through and helping them out, because he's kind of attacking them because he's been told to, but he writes like a message saying play dead to sort of give them some help
because he hasn't got his voice box. And
then he convinces his younger brother and sister, or no, his older brother and sister, Torpedo and Inferno, to basically help. Like, no, look. You weren't a human, like you're focusing on the wrong thing, but you were heroes, that's the important part. So help me stop Volcano. And they actually, because they're at Yellowstone, they're actually at a volcano, which Morrow was wanting to erupt, hence why he's called this new one Red Volcano. Bit on the nose, but
apt, though. Yeah. I mean, I kind of let it slide when it's supervillains doing the naming like that.
Yeah, I have no point. But basically, all three of them force him into the lava. They're actually forcing him down. The other two have basically sacrificed themselves. Tornado is halfway in himself. His legs are already melted. And it's actually at the last minute. And it's a nice moment because Superboy all episode's been kind of like, he betrayed us, screw him. And like, everyone's else, no, maybe he wasn't. Maybe there's more to it than that. Maybe, like... which of course there was. He wasn't betraying them.
You have the great line from Aqualad where it's like, yeah, maybe he was just doing what he was programmed to do, and but he wants to be more. Obviously, Superboy's like, oh shit, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Oh shit, you made me relate to that person. Oh crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it kind of plays like if you take someone who's really racist and then make them kind of understand that
It does, yeah.
someone of a different race is actually a human being too. And like, I kind of relate to them. That's kind of what it felt like. It actually really worked well in that sense. But he swoops in at the last minute, so it's a nice save. It feels good that he's the one who saves him. And he's lost his legs, but obviously they can rebuild him. He's a robot. It's gonna be fine.
So, he's great, isn't that? Yeah, it's convenient.
He's gonna be fine. So it's a real human moment for him, and it really feels like it paid off the 2 episodes we've had of like building up to it, which I really liked. So it felt like a nice payoff. It didn't have anything to do with the light, which I really liked.
Yeah,
it was nice to get away from that and just have a plot that focused on character, and the idea that he was like he volunteered for this job to kind of look after them because he felt like he could learn as much from them as they could from him.
Yeah, because like he points out, they're all very stoic about the job. They don't let themselves down and have an off day together.
Yeah. So I love this episode. It was great.
It was, and also Zatanna, and I love Zatanna.
Zatanna's great. I like how they go to Ivo because they try to like track down where Morrow and the Reds might be, and they go to Ivo at Belle Rev. Oh, Belle Reeve, god damn it!
I know, it's the one thing I really hate about this show.
And they're trying to get him to talk, and they all kind of try. They all take a turn. Nothing's working. And Zatanna just comes in, talks backwards, and he says exactly where it is. Like, not even just vaguely. He's like, "No, here. It's like 2 miles short from this, and it's down here. These coordinates."
Meters below.
Yeah, it's like really specific. And everyone else in the room is just like, "She's useful. Can we keep her? She'll be handy."
Yeah.
So no. Yeah.
She's very likable from the start. Like, as soon as she's brought in, and they're having their psychic conversation, and she calls him out, and it's like, I don't know if that's rude or cool.
Well, what I like about it is that it goes on so long that by the time she says it is actually really noticeable that they're all just standing looking at each other as if they're saying things but not actually saying anything. Because it's like a good 30 seconds pass, and she's like, "You guys all like having a psychic conversation? That's like rude." Go on. So Zatanna's great. The human story for Tornado and his twins are great. And then, everything about it all worked.
You got Shazam distracted by Wolf.
Yeah. Superboy gets a nice little human kind of arc as well because he realizes that, he's like him. All of it works. This is a fantastic episode of Young Justice.
It builds on everything, because all that Tornado stuff. It started off quite a while ago now, really, when that all started going down. And then we got callbacks to Superboy's origin. Even now, 15 episodes in, that's still getting played off of.
Yeah, no. So, light this episode all up. So, looking forward to next week, and obviously we should obviously have a Smallville and Lois and Clark next week, because we have 2 weeks off of both Flash and Arrow. So, that should be again next week. But that does leave us to pick our favourite episode of the week, and that is just the new episodes, obviously, which is weird because it means we're picking between 2 shows.
It is, and I feel like it's definitely Black Lightning.
It is, because Legends was a mediocre episode.
Yeah, like we agreed Black Lightning was maybe its weakest episode yet, but not by much. It had some more problems than usual, but nothing jarring. And even a weaker episode of this was still better than the mediocre Legends by far. Yeah.
So that's an easy pick. It's funny, someone asked last week to me to start timestamping where we pick our favourite episode of the week, and I'm happy to do it. It's easy enough to do. I just think it's funny that this week that conversation lasted about 30 seconds tops. And that's
it's just I feel like a good episode of Legends could have competed with this episode of Black Lightning.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely,
like definitely. But as it was, it's a really easy decision.
Yes, yeah. So I guess that is us. That is episode 20, I think.
Maybe
of TV from the Multiverse. I think it is. We're about there.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah, episode 20. Cool. So that's episode 20. We'll be back next week with the next batch of shows. As we said, we will have a new Legends, a new Black Lightning, and then we'll have a Smallville, a Lois and Clark, and the next Young Justice. That's the plan next week. So obviously let us know what you thought of this week's episodes, and see comments below, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuss for channel updates, or if you want to get us more specifically for DC Comics stuff, you can get us at DC Comics Podcast. Also, obviously, get us on patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to support the channel and support everything we do. But otherwise, that is us. So, thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching DC TV, and always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.